Did you know that childcare in America costs nearly as much as rent? The average family spends over $12,000 a year per kid just to have somewhere safe for the child to go while they work. And most families don't have a choice. You either pay it or somebody stays home. Well, one state just said, not anymore. On November 1st, 2025, New Mexico became the first state in the entire United States to offer free childcare to every family, regardless of how much money they make. No income limit, no copay, no fees. The state just pays for it. They called it universal childcare, and people lost their minds in both directions. Because yes, it sounds incredible, but the reality on the ground is a little bit more complicated. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today. To understand why this is a big deal, you need to understand the problem. Childcare in America is expensive for a very specific reason. It's labor intensive. You legally can't have one person watching 20 babies. The ratios are tight, meaning you need a lot of trained adults in the room, and trained adults need to be paid. So the cost of running a childcare center is pretty high, and that cost gets passed directly to parents. In New Mexico specifically, before this program, infant care alone could run up to $12,000 a year for one child. And if you had 2 kids, do the math. New Mexico already had a childcare assistance program before this. It helped families who earned below 400% of the federal poverty line, which for a family of 4 meant you had to earn less than about $128,000 a year to qualify. That sounds like a lot, but it left out roughly 1 in 5 New Mexico families who made just a little too much. Not rich people, just people who earned enough to be disqualified, but not enough to comfortably pay $12,000 a year out of pocket. That gap is exactly what this new program was designed to close. So what exactly is universal childcare? It's an expansion of the existing childcare assistance program. That's the state system that reimburses licensed childcare providers on behalf of families. The word reimbursement here is very important. The state doesn't just hand you the cash. They pay your childcare provider directly, you apply, you get approved, then your daycare gets paid by the state instead of by you. No copay, no registration fees, no supply fees. The provider is actually prohibited by law from charging you anything extra on top of what the state pays them. So, who qualifies? Any family in New Mexico where a parent is working or going to school, regardless of income. Grandparents raising grandkids qualify. Families experiencing housing instability qualify. The program covers kids from birth all the way up to age 13, including infants, toddlers, preschool, and before and after school care. And immigration status doesn't affect eligibility for parents. Only the child needs to be a U.S. citizen or legal resident. Now here's the part that surprises most people. This program isn't funded by raising your taxes. New Mexico has something most states don't: a massive amount of oil and gas revenue flowing into permanent state funds. The main one is called the Land Grant Permanent Fund, a $33 billion fund built from taxes on oil and gas extraction from public lands. That fund alone sends about $248 million a year to childcare programs. On top of that, in 2020, New Mexico created a dedicated early childhood trust fund, which now holds $10 billion and is required by law to send $500 million a year to childcare. A constitutional amendment passed by 70% of New Mexico voters in 2022 locked that in. So the money isn't coming from your paycheck, it's coming from the ground. If this is new to you, then hit like right now. We're just getting to the part they don't put in the press release. Alright, now let's talk about what press releases don't tell you. Because free childcare for everyone is a big headline. The reality on the ground is a little bit more complicated. Let's start with actually getting into the program. This isn't automatic. You have to apply, and the application requires documents: proof of residency, proof of employment or school enrollment, identification, and income information. You submit everything online or in person at a local office. Then you wait. The state says approval can take up to a week once all documents are received, and right now they are processing a high volume of applications. So, if you're a parent who needs childcare starting next Monday, that timeline matters. And if something's missing from your paperwork, the clock resets all over again. Here's one that trips people up, and it's real. Let's say you can actually afford to pay for childcare out of pocket. You find a daycare you love, and you just want to skip the paperwork, write a check, and move on. If that daycare is enrolled in the Child Care Assistance Program, meaning they accept state reimbursements, then they are legally not allowed to take your money. The rule that protects low-income families from being charged extra fees also means providers can't accept private payments from anyone using that program. So your only options are go through the application process like everyone else, or find a provider who opted completely out of the state program and charges private tuition. And those providers, the ones who opted out, they're not covered. You pay full price, out of pocket, no state help. The program essentially forces higher income families into the system whether they want to be there or not. And here's the biggest problem. Even if you apply and get approved, you still have to find a provider with an open spot. And right now, there aren't enough. As of 2025, New Mexico had just 32 childcare slots for every 100 children under the age of 2. In Santa Fe County, one of the bigger cities, that number drops to 18 slots per 100 kids. In San Miguel County, it's 5. And in Union and Harding counties, there are 0 licensed infant care slots. None. The state knows this. They've said they need to license roughly 5,000 more childcare providers to actually meet demand. They are actively recruiting home-based providers and working to expand facilities, but that takes time. So right now, approval letter in hand, some families are still stuck. One more thing worth knowing. The money that funds this program is not locked in forever. The Early Childhood Trust Fund and Land Grant Permanent Fund provide the base, but lawmakers still have to approve annual budget allocations to keep the program running at full scale. As recently as early 2026, state economists told legislators that new revenue coming into the budget was only about $100 million, a fraction of what the program costs. Some lawmakers have openly said that the state may not be able to sustain the full cost long term. The governor signed a law in March 2026 that created a statutory foundation for the program and authorized up to $700 million through 2031. So there is a legal structure now, but the funding fight in the legislature is ongoing, and that's worth watching. So why should you care about this if you don't live in New Mexico? Because this is a policy experiment that the rest of the country is watching. Connecticut already passed a bill making child care free for families earning under $100,000 a year. Lawmakers in New York have made universal child care a central part of their agenda. What New Mexico is doing, and what they're struggling with, is going to shape the conversation in your state too. The questions being asked right now in Santa Fe are going to be asked in your state capital eventually. How do you pay for it? Who gets in first? What happens when there aren't enough providers? These aren't New Mexico problems. They're American problems. If you are in New Mexico and you want to access this program, here's what you do. Go to nmececd.org and click Apply for Services. You can also apply in person at your local Child Care Bureau office. You'll need proof of residency, proof that you're working or in school, and basic identification. Once approved, your benefits start the day your child begins care at a participating provider. To find a participating provider near you, the state has a child care finder tool at the same website. You can filter by location, age of your child, hours, and quality rating. If you need help finding a spot, call 1-800-691-9067. That's the state's free referral line. Like this video if you're done being out of the loop, and subscribe so you never are again. Your laws, your vote, your power.